you know, with the turmoil in today's society and the political environment, you know, you have to rely on faith and what God has taught us about love. Because if we just look at it from a natural perspective, you know, it's like your emotions will take over. And so that's the, like, knowing what to pray to God for, right? You know, it's not about telling God to resolve the problem, but help me deal with it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like what we try to do. Is it's like, okay, we know we got hundreds of years of racism and different things, and from the natural, we ain't going to solve that. It's going to take God. So I think that's the key of saying, how do you get through this program? That's what I tell everybody. I mean, God is in charge. It doesn't make a difference what the world says or what's going on in the world. At the end of the day, you got to put your trust in God.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the parts that was kind of easy, so let's go back. This all started in the middle of the turmoil of the election in 2020. And right, you know, just the everything that was exploding. It was easy in some respects to step in. And one of the things I find that's interesting is as through that, we wanted to create authentic relationships, okay? We don't live in the same house, but we wanted to invite people into our houses.
Yes.
So that was one of the key pieces, that if I know you, if I love you, okay, even though we don't look at the world the same way,
Yes.
okay, I can learn from you, and if we just stay focused on Christ. But that's, I guess, the glue, the bridging the gap kind of blew up and started growing like a weed, and it's kind of contracted back down to a core, and that core are the people that actually intentionally went out socially, got together with our wives, actually tried to be real authentic friends,
Yes.
not just part of it. But the one thing we also ran into is, it's like when it calmed down, okay, some of the glue that kept us together, it's almost like when, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion became a bad word, you know, and just, we've seen that where it's kind of died back down, and that turmoil is what pulled us together,
Yeah.
okay? You know, none of us know what kind of turmoil that's ahead of us, but we wanted to be in a position where, I'll describe it my way, I can pick up the phone and call Q or Kim and go, I have my view of what just happened, please help me understand what I can't see or what my biases are.
Yes.
And Q, as Q says, you got 15 minutes? I'm going to tell you some truth here.
Yeah.
And he does, and it's great.
I love it.
It makes a difference.
I love it. Well, you all clearly, I think, have mastered how you bridge gaps and how you bridge divides, and that's treating people as you want to be treated.
Amen.
And that's biblical. And it's playground simple. And you all treat each other the way you want to be treated. You invite each other into your homes, you invite each other into fellowship, and that's so important. And it's not as difficult as we make it out to be.
Right.
It does take sustaining, but it's not as difficult as we make it out to be.
I'd like to ask you a question, because one of the things that we ran across pretty quickly, okay, so we're building these relationships, and we keep thinking of it as racial and cultural.
Mm-hmm.
But you talked about the West Side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We didn't bridge the class.
No, we did not.
We did not bridge that.
We did not.
We've tried a couple of times, but we live up here in Alpharetta.
There you go.
Okay, and that's one thing that we felt like we've done the piece of, you know, the diversity, but we all live in Alpharetta.
Yes. And you're so much alike because you live in Alpharetta. You have the means to live in Alpharetta. You have the choice to live in Alpharetta. You have the means to get back and forth between Atlanta and Alpharetta. And you're right. There was a school, Kennedy Middle School at the time. It's changed names now. It was on the west side of Atlanta. And Eastlake High School was going through a renovation. Eastlake used to be a terribly difficult neighborhood, but now it has increased in wealth, and the value of the homes have increased significantly. Still a majority black neighborhood. And I remember the kids from Eastlake came over because they needed a place to stay and have a school while their school was being renovated. And their parents came over in Mercedes-Benz, Range Rovers, and it was a completely different class.
Yeah.
Both sets of black families, but different classes.
Yeah.
And that was something that the kids had to learn to connect on. But the principles are the same. And for most of us, look, we are blessed to be where we are now, but we haven't always been there. And so it's easy for us to remember that. Or we have some family members that aren't there still with us. It's easy to remember that. And that they aren't any different, surely not less. And we want everybody to live life and have life more abundantly. Yeah. And so, yeah, we do need to continue to bridge that, because there's a lack of awareness, and sometimes there's a lack of understanding, and sometimes there's a prejudice against folks who don't have as much. So, yeah. But thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, we've recognized it, but that's one of the questions is, okay, how do you take it beyond that? You know, you're in, as you said, you thought you knew the West Side, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know the West Side.
No, I did not at all. Not at all.
Most of us don't know the West Side.
That's true. And I recognize I still don't know it as well. I spend a lot of time, but I don't live there.
Right.
And so I can't know it, but I can appreciate the people.
Right.
And they can appreciate me. And I can show up, and I can be consistent. And what I love about Bob is that he is consistent.
Yeah.
He shows up all the time.
Yes,
he
does. All the
And
time.
that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
You know, and I think that if you ask me, that socioeconomic is always going to be a separator or a segregator, right? The socioeconomics of life. You know, whether it's cross-racial boundaries or whether it's within race, right? You know, it's the socioeconomic will create the barrier, just like race will, right? And I take the same foundation that I take, and it seems, you said it was simple, like it was simple, that everything that you have, where did you get it from? Who gave it to you? God, right? And so I look at life like that. I when you realize that everything that you have in life, every success, every degree, you know, your ability to go to the Air Force Academy. Yeah. Oh, it was all God. It was all God giving it to you, right?
My ability to graduate and stay.
Yeah. So when
God.
but when I look at the blessings, and at a time in life I didn't look at it that way. It was me. You know, me did this, and it's the same thing. I think if you, just as I look at bridging the gap, is that when I look at it from a godly lens, then I can't get mad. And we've had some tough conversations. And can I go into when we had the last tough conversation, right?
Sure.
It was tough. It was tough. And Freddie Johnson, my homeboy, from the same hometown, Daddy was my junior high school principal. He said, "Man, I'm glad you said what you said at this tough conversation, because I was mad." Yeah. And to bring it back to God is that some things are only can be controlled by the Spirit, you know, and that's where I look at it. So we have not bridged that gap to get that socioeconomic. Maybe that's our next charge.
It is, and it always has been, and that's in every community, everywhere around the world. And so there's a need to bring people together, but also pull people forward and pull them out of poverty, pull them out of a difficult situation economically, and give them more.